Welcome to Clif Chat, a monthly chat that I'm doing with creative folks, and I'm really excited about this one. Billy Martin. I first saw Billy Martin play when I was in college. I saw him at Ziggy's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and it was with Medeski Martin Wood, and I'd never seen any music like that before. It was a mix of grooving music with avant-garde and jazz, and it really changed just the way that I looked at music. And I followed Billy Martin, and I have followed him for many years. And when I got to know Ra Kalam Bob Moses, I had no idea that he was connected, that they went way back and that Ra Kalam was a mentor for him. So we crossed paths a little bit over the years, but it was through Ra Kalam that when we were filming and we went to New York and we went to Billy's home in New Jersey in Inglewood and had an amazing day with him and interviewed him. So I am going to send a message right now to Billy just to make sure he's coming on, because what I try to do with these conversations is talk about really life, the creative process, what does that mean for the person who I'm interviewing, and can be a great way to learn about those people. Amazing people like Billy Martin. All right. Hello. Thank you for joining in. I am stalling for time, waiting for Billy. Just sent him a text, and hopefully he gets it. We did email yesterday, and so he does know about it. What I do, my process for these conversations, I try not to get into a place where I'm reading, questions. I think of a bunch of questions and I write them down, and then I try to just be in the conversation. But this one, even though I've gotten to know Billy a little bit, it's a little intimidating. Because it's someone I respect so much. I mean, everyone I've interviewed, I respect. Aha. Hello.
I was muted.
Oh, you were muted. Okay.
Good.
Let me bring my volume up.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Late. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Trying to get a little light. I'm going to get a little light on somehow.
Okay.
Extra light so you can see me better.
It gave me some time to improvise, install, and then play your video.
Yeah, man. Improvising. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure, Clif. My pleasure.
Yeah. So the way I do these, usually we can talk about anything or not talk about certain things, whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
And I love to learn about people's different processes and what life is.
I got him.
Yeah.
I got him.
Yeah.
I got him.
Cool. So I've gotten to know you a little bit over the years. The most we hung was when Megan and I were in New York filming for Ra Kalam, the film we're making about Ra Kalam Bob Moses.
Yeah.
And we hung with you that day at your house, and that was an incredible day. And I don't know if I told you then, but I've followed you for a long time, so I've been a big fan of all your output and all that you do. And so it's cool to connect on a personal level, and so it's really
cool.
It
was fun. It was great to meet you and your partner.
It was really
fun.
The
whole experience. I love I love filmmaking, so it was fun to kind of be the subject with Moses.
And so for people who are tuning in, we did an interview.
Are we live now?
We're live.
Hey everybody.
We did it. We did for people who are tuning in. We did an interview about talking about Ra Kalam, all of Billy's experiences with him from going way back to the 80s, I think, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking, I mean, I'm happy to talk about that too, but that's gonna, a lot of that will come out another time, so we don't need to just talk about that. But I know Ra Kalam was it is a huge influence and for both of us, but I know for you, I think you've talked about him being a mentor, not even realizing he was a mentor.
Right, exactly. Yep. Ra
And
Kalam Bob Moses. Yeah, it was definitely, I realized later how much of a mentor he was. It wasn't discussed in that way. We didn't have any agreement. It was just, he took me under his wing, and it was, he really trusted me. He really liked me. And I was like having a musical father, really,
yeah, and
especially in the creative world, jazz world, unquote.
yeah. Um, so what hanging with him, like I know for myself, he's such a humble person that it's hard to kind of for me to connect all the things he has done and all the albums he's recorded and stuff like that. And it's just like you're just hanging out with your friend. I mean, how do you think over time you've, manifested or absorbed, some of these things? Because for me, I think I told you this last time we were hanging that it's some of these things is like 15 years later, I'm like, he helped me with this. For me, he's really
Yeah.
helped me realize that I don't have to just do one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, to break it down into its essence, it's like he's an artist. He's an uncompromising artist who is very playful and funny, fun to be with, and has that child spirit energy that a few other people that I've worked with that I've admired a lot have, and it's part of who they are. There's this stepping out beyond the polite way to make music or something. It's just that's not acceptable. It's like play your heart out, and have fun doing it, and he has his way of doing it, and it's so sincere who he is, and it's just kind of, and there's the joy of just like in the storytelling, all the joy of sort of like making music and laughing together, and just having some good food and just doing gigs, and I mean, I've been through many permutations, I guess, of what Ra Kalam Bob Moses, on his path, and it was just really amazing to see that he never compromised, and he was always going forward, higher, higher, higher up, like just really on another level of expression, to the point where he was, just breaking down all these barriers and all these, the idea of any kind of genre, was like all these things. And sort of, I think, like it's really, he's always had this spirit, but I think that it's really culminating in a really beautiful way, but yeah, and like you, I wasn't aware of all his contributions. He never talked to me about, I mean, every once in a while something would come up, this musician, that Jim Pepper, Larry Coryell, um, and the Free Spirits, and all this stuff, and that was like groundbreaking, history in music, and a change of, and sort of like doing something fresh, you know,
Yeah.
and just kind of, I don't know, just really the deep, deep expression, of each person, just pushing, pushing themselves further and further into uh, a high level of, communicating
Mm.
with music, and just really blowing people away. Just be like, wow, so inspiring, to see musicians playing that way and living that way, and he's
Mm.
one of them.
How has that way of living influenced how you live?
Well, I mean, I live my life creatively. It's all about the creative spirit and the playful spirit and the DIY spirit, all those things, that just, his general way of being, I think, has really helped me to open up my heart, and, and to be and to have fun, have fun with shaking things up, and it's like a little bit of a way of sort of pushing the boundaries and just kind of tickling people, I think that was just like always, he could always do that, and it was always like no matter what it was. But yeah, he just he has such a beautiful, spirit, playfulness. That's the main thing. He's doing his thing, no one's gonna stop him.
Hmm. I
That's a
mean,
true artist.
yeah, and I see there being a lot of similarities between the two of you. Um, you you've been in a band that's had a lot of people know about Medeski Martin Wood. Um, and I'm wondering, you were designing the covers, and you're doing all the album art. It seemed like from the beginning, right?
I had no choice. I mean, I was the guy who was always drawing and, doing visual stuff and suggesting things, Some things were not great and some other things were, and then they took the good, they helped, they helped. But like, yeah, I was the visual guy, so I was drawing and stuff. It was from hanging out with Bob Moses, Ra Kalam, and John Lurie, people like that, musicians who band leaders and people I looked up to that were creative, and did their own album covers and had their own style. And we would hang out and draw together and paint together, draw together mostly. And that was like, the joy of hanging out and just like listening to music and just sitting around with all our markers and crayons and you know, passing the time in the studio or on the road or in Hawaii with Rock Alarm. It was a real influence, and so it just gave me more and more of a reason to feel like this is okay. You can make your own record cover. you can you can make your own mythology. You can create your own, world.
Yeah. What does that mean? Your own mythology.
Well, it means like to not just play a certain kind of music or do a certain thing. It's just like it's sort of like a philosophy of what what you're putting out there, how you're communicating with your art. And it's also multidisciplinary. It's not just music, it's the visual stuff, and the titles and the stories, and sort of creating this world that is yours to share with everybody, whether it's at a concert or a record cover or writing a book or making postcards or you know all these things become like, I would say Sun Ra is a really good example of someone who like really has, literally this mythology of, the way he blends all this stuff together. And
Did you see that doc that just came out on PBS about him?
no, I want to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good. Um,
Yeah.
did you? Was there a time where they were kind of separate, the disciplines, or have they always been sort of intermingled?
Well, no, they were separate. When you're younger, you think, oh, this is here, this goes there, and that goes there. And I don't put them together there, and you kind of like when you're creating one or the other, they usually are not at the same time. But then as you grow and do more and more, and you realize that everything's coming from the same place. It's just how I express myself on the drums, how I express myself with percussion, how I express myself with composition, how I express myself when I improvise, how I express myself with visual art or drawing, painting, printing, making videos, making films. It's all like becomes like you can bring it all together. And I just think the culmination of working on these things separately, when you get older, they do kind of come together. I think it don't have to, but for me, it was like obvious that like all of this is serving me in a certain way. The fact that I love to draw and love to do line work, and really into different kind of whether it's petroglyph, hieroglyph, kanji, all these, picturesque drawing, picture drawing type language. It became part of my own language, and then to the point where, yeah, I was starting to develop a graphic notation for rhythmic games. So I have this notation that's, X's and dots and a couple of things. And, all those things are in the book. Yeah, the rhythm book, is like a whole, yeah, that's a font actually. And we made, yeah, rhythm. Yeah, it started with rhythm and then stridulations. So is the stridulations for the good luck feast is in, about 13 different mini scores for of rhythm, and they're written out in the X's and dots. But anyway, that kind of very simple universal language of communicating visually, that really came together for me with education, not just that, but just also, yeah, teaching and training people to read rhythm that don't read music, that just so they can, it's simple, but it's also beautiful to look at. And the aesthetic of things for me are really important. Even instruments that I choose, and that's another thing I could probably share with Ra Kalam is the beauty of the instruments and how you revel in it and you play it. But it's like, it's much deeper relationship you have with it because you know, you pick this because you love it or the sound is great, and sometimes it's cool looking. Like a lot of my metal percussion or my wood or my bamboo, it's all like they're artifacts. They're sculptures. They're beautiful to look at. I love just looking at them, and then I play them, and it's like, oh my God. So that idea of like we're just kind of like I'm in both worlds now,
Yeah.
visual and visual and the whole. My vocabulary is developing sonically and visually, right? And now it's starting to all mix in. How I experience it is more important than I have to like share it. It has to be audio and visual. It doesn't have to be. I want people to have their own visuals and imagination when they hear my music, and I want people to have their own story when they see my art. I'm not telling anybody what to think. Anyway, it's culminating that thing for me. So it's like, and I've always been into just building. And I have a little bit of knowledge on how to build things and cut things and you know put them together in sculptures or a little machines or circuitry for lights. And it's all being an artist who's creating sculpture that's functional or has a certain kind of multidisciplinary thing. You have to have, many things going on with it. Someday maybe I'll make a machine that makes sound and then also looks cool. Well, that's the bamboo actually.
Uh, Bamboo is
and
beautiful.
my lamps.
I was going to ask you about the bamboo and the lamps, and I do want to get to those. Um,
Yeah.
do for myself, I always made visual art and stopped for about 20 years because I thought I had to focus on music, and I felt like I
Yeah.
needed to get to a certain level, and it was when and partially because of Rock Alarm, it was when I uh started not worrying about how I was expressing myself, and it felt like it started to open things up for me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So the bamboo. I'm visualizing one of them or some that you kind of not burned. I don't know if you burned part of it. You kind of gave it like a little. There's and you gave one to Rock Alam, and they have. So if you haven't seen them, there's all kinds of different shapes, different configurations, and they could be little pieces that you shake that will move. I don't know. It's
hmm
not the best description.
Yeah, the bamboo baka, I gave him, and he named it right there. That was the thing.
Uh,
I think you have it on film because I was like, I don't have a name for this one, but I really am into it. I want you to have it, and I made some others, and it's just like a piece of a bamboo tube that's open, sort of like split, and then it has two dowels and it rattles, and you can make a rhythm with it. Also has two other smaller things in the hollow that are rattling, so you could get this like really interesting sort of technique and way to play it. I think that is makes it sound a certain way. And the bamboo baka is what he named it. I needed a name for it, and of course, it's great. It's perfect, hilarious. And yeah, when I work with my bamboo, it has to be somewhat dry. I mean, it depends what I use it on. You can use fresh cut bamboo and just play them like the tubes, like their xylophone. But they dry over time, so you want them to dry, but they're still. It takes quite a while to cure, just naturally sitting around. So with the torch, I learned by watching shakuhachi masters. They will just like slightly heat up, sort of, and there will be a little, it'll just pan it and make it even a little bit burnt looking, and then you can clean it off. That was gorgeous what it does. The oils come out of it, and so that's part of the process. And then yeah, then I get into it a little bit more. Maybe I like if I make a guiro and there's all these slits. I'll highlight the slits, or I won't highlight. I'll highlight something else on the bamboo with the torch. It's nice, and then that also helps to cure it. Yeah.
Hmm. You've
Yeah.
mentioned, I've heard you say letting the bamboo teach you. Um,
Yeah, the bamboo is my teacher. Yeah, I'm really listening and paying attention to the bamboo when I cut it, when I see it there. It may be already died and it's just in the grove, and I'm like, wow, this one didn't split. This is like a flute, or this is a rain stick, or but I really spend my time paying attention and kind of like waiting for the answer. And it guides me that way. Then the next step is to shape, to cut it and sort of like start to work with it. And then to see like how is this sounding with these, stones, or do I want to put pieces of bamboo in it? I want bamboo on bamboo. I'm not, okay, that's not working. Let me try to make a flute or a reed instrument out of it, and then wow, something, one of them is better than the other. They're not always like that. They usually just go in the direction. It's really pretty seamless, the work, but every once in a while one is like, no, that's just not working, and it's laying around. All of a sudden it's perfect. It's the perfect guiro, or the perfect, the shaker, or the perfect chasen shaker. There's lots of different names of, like rain sticks, and Jagog is about Balinese, so Java, Bali. They have bamboo gamelan, so it's just really hitting the keys. Each bamboo is a key, and they're tuned. And that's such a satisfying, easy, beautiful thing to do. And you cut them. You cut them based on why you need to cut them, and you cut them at different lengths, sometimes the same length, but they all have different tonality. It's a given, it's a chance operation, and then all of a sudden I'm shuffling them around to make them they actually have some kind of relationship. I take some out, I put some in, and then I have this tonal relationship that's a mode or a scale or a pentatonic thing or a three-note thing. And those things, that's also the bamboo, just it's chance. I'm not forcing it to be in a certain pitch, and so that's like what I mean by the bamboo teaching me. Also, of course, there's many things that the bamboo's teaching me, just watching and how it behaves and its whole cycle of like growth. And it's an organism. The whole grove is one organism. It's not separate plants, separate trees. There's like grass, so and that's a really interesting thing. And they bend, they don't break, the fiber, there's so many things about it. The leaves sound a certain way and the comb sound another way, and they look different at different times of day. The light changes, and there's so many species, and so yeah, of course, I'm learning that stuff. But I'm also learning, when I build an instrument, really my thing with the bamboo orchestra that I'm developing is that they're all instruments that were never invented, they never existed before, like in its form. Some things are variations on some things that I'm inspired by, like the jagog, like tubes, but I'm designing the tubes differently, and they have a different sound, but they're still very similar sounding. But there's a lot of instruments that, like the bamboo baka, which is like, how do you play this thing? I've never seen anything like it before, and all of a sudden you have to learn by playing it, and then you're working on your technique. You're not reading out of a book. It's never been done before. How do I make sound with this? And I'll give it to someone, and they'll do it. Some people just do like a sound bath thing with it. Like it's not a rhythm, and then someone will do a rhythmic thing with it. And it's like, wow, it's just two totally different approaches, and how they're holding it, and the rhythms that you're playing, and all these different things. You're just doing it with your right hand, left hand, and right hand together. All these things is a lesson in working with the bamboo, and it's really, I have to work with it to make it sound good, to bring out the sound, and what follows is the technique, the mother of invention, and the technique.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Uh, do you think if you didn't have, all this musical training, do you think the instrument would still teach you how to play, or do you think you need to have kind of a base level of understanding?
No, that's what I love about it. I think that anybody could do it. Anybody could cut a piece of bamboo into several pieces, and what do you want to do with it? You want to blow into the hole? Whew. You want to hollow it out. You want to put rocks in it, stones in it, beans in it. Or you want to scrape it. You want to like make a flute out of it. It's really quite simple, and it's working with like the general physics, the universe, of our planet anyway, and how like, air works, and how, all these things are resonating, and you're getting overtones, and you're getting the overtone series just naturally experiencing what the overtone series is they teach you at schools about what it is. It's really just physics. It's like how things vibrate everywhere. You hit something, and it sometimes has several notes because it's vibrating in a lot of different ways. So that's another education I'm getting, and I think that anyone will have the same thing. And I'll continue. I'll encourage. I'm going to encourage that. I'm going to probably do some workshops with like hanging out with people who show them how I work with bamboo. But it's really simple. Anybody can do it, and that's what I love about it. Also love about bamboo is that it's a you know really sustainable resource that is just
Grows so fast.
so.
Yeah.
It's also food. It's also, it's utensils. It's flooring. It can save land from eroding
Hmm.
in places. It's beautiful to look at. It's just this is an incredible living organism and material
You've
to
become an
work with.
advocate for bamboo.
Yeah, and I was before all this, before I ever make an instrument, I was
Uh,
always kind of a little bit of a conservationist natural. I was like in the 70s. I was a member of the Sierra Club and the Cousteau Society, which is Jacques Cousteau's, and nature and all these things. And in the 70s there was a lot of new ideas and warnings about the future. And yeah, so it's just that carries on, this love of nature. I mean, nature is my teacher. That's the ultimate thing. Nature is our teacher. But bamboo is my teacher specifically because I'm making instruments now and sculptures, and just learning to use it in different ways, and also really doing the research and following other cultures that work with bamboo all over the world and what they do with it. Baskets and an amazing briefcase and pocketbooks, the most intricate, most beautiful things. And then there's like, tea whisks and you know so it's just you could almost build your life around it. And if you look around my house, you see all kinds of bamboo utensils and things around, mostly that I bought because I admire them so much. And so yeah, it's communicating to me a lot. It's kind of saved my life in a way. Bamboo came in a big way a couple of years ago after I had a breakthrough. I was like, really had a really rough mental breakthrough, as my wife calls it.
hmm.
And after that, I really I straightened up my priorities, and I had to get rest, and I had to take off from work and cancel tours, and I recovered, and the bamboo was right there. It was this time of year in April. I mean, April, yeah, almost around this time of year, where the cycle of the bamboo growing. And so, since those 2 or 3 years ago, I've been really, really have a mission to create, a different sound, a different tonality, different rhythms, and different, different such different orchestra, and that's going to be my, just to finish this is like it's going to be my the start of Wind. It's a theater piece I'm doing with a choreographer and other musicians, and it's I'm hoping to bring it to the theater. It'll be 15 to 25 people cast.
Wow. And so, and
Yeah,
it's accessible and communal, which is really
yeah,
interesting thing
yeah,
about it as well.
yeah. Anybody could grow it. Almost anybody.
I have in a few blocks from my house, there's a bunch of bamboo they just chopped down, and I was thinking about asking them if I could grab some of it and just see what
They'll
happens.
probably be very happy because if they're cutting it, they're like, it's starting to take over.
They have a grove. I was walking last
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
and a hawk flew over my head, and
Mm.
next thing I knew, this hawk was flying through the bamboo, chasing all these birds, and
Oh
they were
man! Wow,
squawking
beautiful.
and like, I don't
Wow,
know what it was
wow.
doing.
Yeah, we've got cats that like we have cardinals like to nest on top of this certain type of bamboo that I grow called sasa. They're thicker leaves. It looks more tropical. It's actually more hardy than in the winter than the other bamboo. But yeah, they nest on the top of these leaves, and the cats try to get up there, and you hear them chirp 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 at night.
Mhm. So your studio and tea house and all that I think, did you build all of that?
Yes,
Uh, you
yes, I
kind of
did. Yep.
you kind
Hmm.
of you definitely created a vibe, and it's in some ways a little reminiscent of Hawaii and
Hmm.
Carl, Carl Green, who owned the shack.
Shackman.
Yeah, Shack Man.
Yeah, our dear friend Moses introduced me to him. Yeah.
Yeah, uh, who Megan and I met, and he's I think he's the biggest character I've ever met.
Who's that?
Carl.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a caricature
Yeah,
of like he's just a trip, man.
he
Yeah,
is.
the Hawaiian hermit, the Hawaiian Menahuni.
Yeah, yeah, Menahuni. And for those of you that don't know him, yeah. So Carl has built this tree house that we didn't go in the tree house because there's big gaps. You go up, and you could easily fall through. I think. And Carl probably weighs 100 pounds, and I think Carl's 74 and he does a bunch of pull-ups every day, and yeah, it's pretty.
Well, yeah, he's in great shape. He's a jungle man for sure. Nature boy. Yeah, he'll always be a nature boy. He's like climbs and just in great physical shape. Amazing. And he lives in a treehouse. He's got a and it's hard out there in the jungle sometimes. You got to deal with some weather
Yeah,
and other things living that
mosquitoes.
way. Yeah, yeah. But the treehouse is very special. Very special.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
regret a little bit. He offered for us to stay. He had this room that was kind of off of the treehouse, and he's like, "You all stay here for the night," and we didn't do it, which I think was it would have been.
Uh, I think that was fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Um. So, what are projects? What are things you're working on right now that are inspiring you?
Well, I'm focusing on the priority right now, besides doing some gigs, or just did a couple of gigs with Medeski Martin Wood for the first time in 4 years. So that was fun. And, we have a record that is we finished mixing and mastering late last year. And we're just trying to find the best place the way to get it out. And so that's taken some time, but like that's exciting. And then I'll be playing with John at Big Ears Festival in Knoxville.
Oh yeah.
John, Nels Klein, and Scott Metzger and me. We have a thing that we do every once in a while. And I'm going to also be at Big Ears with my friend Simon Haynes, who's been new amazing young musician in my life, who's credible orchestrator, arranger, who he went to NEC actually.
Mm.
He studied with Anthony Coleman as with many other people, but I know Anthony dearly. He's another kind of almost like a mentor to me in a certain way. Mentor a lot of people. But Simon, I'm playing his band Sons of Tsunami, which is experimental kind of surf rock stuff that he wrote, and playing percussion with that group. And
Does that mean
so that's what's
there's a drum set player as well, or just percussion? Or
yeah, there's a drum set player. Yeah,
uh,
yeah. John Starks. He works with Simon in that band. Um, And yeah, but my priority though is April. I'm going to an artist residency for the month of April. It's out in Long Island. It's Robert Wilson, the great uh, artist, American artist, director that's done all kinds of really um, groundbreaking theatrical work. Set up this residency for artists to work on their anything, whether they could be a composer, they could be a playwright, they could be a poet, they could be a painter, they could be a dancer. So I'm bringing this project there in April, and so I'm just really busy putting all of the instruments together that I built, and I've been still building instruments. I'm still working with experimenting with like making certain kind of instruments and getting the tonalities together, and then I'm starting to write the music. So I really have a couple of weeks to have some music recorded, so that when I work with the choreographer, just we'll be alone and we'll be listening and we'll decide on which ones we want more movement, less movement. Um, and kind of also be able to work with I'll be working with the wind sections, percussion sections, dancers. It's like it's pretty much that, and then there gonna be a lot of the people that'll do a little bit of both of everything. And it's my first theatrical project, and it's really just so important to me. It's the culmination of everything I've done in my life, and uh basically materialized from the bamboo and the spirit of the bamboo, what I've learned, and the mystery of it, the nature, the relationship we have with nature, and how it like teaches us. And it's going to come out in that way. It's not going to be a narrative story. There's no words. There's no singing. It's all the bamboo is the only thing that's speaking, and we're going to be sort of like the cast will sort of be in the background. It won't be about a character. The character is the bamboo. And so the bamboo will come in different forms and different you'll have different kind of the music will give a different feeling, the staging, the lighting, I'm building the lights and all the stuff. It's really, really exciting. So that's the most important thing. That's what I'm doing. Besides that, I'm teaching at the new school once a week. I teach an improvisation ensemble class, usually every semester. And so I'm doing that just one day a week. And I love doing that. I love working with the younger students who, a lot of them are really good, and sharing my philosophy, my way of, creating, composing, and helping them develop their own thing. Um,
So, but I'm wondering with that, how much of that you've envisioned ahead of time, and how much of that will, how much of that's open to playing with it and improvising with it. And I'm also wondering,
no, if improvising with the bamboo
well, I
with
mean, with the
the
production, like how much of that
Yeah.
have you
Well,
envisioned?
at the work, there's not going to be. This is the first time I'm writing something that is more written in a fixed way, but the interpretation of things will be a little bit more. There'll be a little bit more of a range to sort of express themselves a certain way. But there will be certain things that'll be really, really fixed. It has to be played this way. It has to have this tonality. It has to be this instrument. They're going to move this way, and then there will be things where it's like, well, for instance, like, you're turning many times, but you can turn in different directions, all three, four, five of you. Let's see how that works. I mean, a lot of it is really prompting this stuff and then seeing how the artists marry with it and the performers. And then so there's more improvising in the development of it, but I'm being more specific and fixing it. So when it comes down to performing this piece, it's going to be a very as close as I can get it, to this mysterious, magical, idea that I have with the music and the visuals and the movement and the dance.
So it's
So
all bamboo instruments, all so composed. It sounds like.
yeah, yeah, it'll be pre-composed. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
Gianna,
um,
can you do me a huge favor? Do you know where Phaedra works? Can you pick her up? Yeah. Do you have the car or do you need the car? Okay. Thank you so much. I have been doing this interviews live. Okay. Hey, everybody. I just it's who I am.
This
I'm
is
just
this
being
is life.
honest.
This is real
I'm
life.
just, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
So I'll text her that you're coming. Thanks, Gianna. I'll text Phaedra that you're coming. Yeah.
Hey, by the
Okay.
way, what was that? Was it Lebanese food that we had when we were there? It was incredible. Best I've ever had.
It was actually Palestinian. It was
Palestinian.
actually a Palestinian
Amazing.
restaurant. Fantastic. Yeah, that was a really good place, and they're so sweet there.
They still around?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's that whole neighborhood is, I mean, not just Palestinian, but it's like, Middle Eastern part of New Jersey. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great restaurants.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had a nice meal. Yeah.
It was an incredible meal. Yeah. We can't get food like that here. Um,
Mm.
s-
Where are
uh,
you?
what's that?
Where are you? Where do you live?
I just outside of Nashville in a town called Murfreesboro.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Murfreesboro. I know that's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Knoxville, you had mentioned, so I listened to your interview with Leo Sidran with which
Oh, yeah, yeah. That was really
it's a
nice.
great interview, and
Yeah.
he does such a good job, and I love his podcast. Um, and you had mentioned early on playing in Knoxville and that being kind of a groundbreaking place for you. What do you think? Knoxville is this little city, little college town in the South. What was it about Knoxville, or what could it have been anywhere?
Well, for Medeski Martin Wood, it was the very early days of us getting in my van and going to these places. We had no idea what it was going to be like. But I don't even know if I played Knoxville before that. I don't remember, but I had played through the Southeast and basically made notes of like, oh, this place is cool. Like, I like to come back here on my own someday. I think I was on a tour with a Knitting Factory tour, and we were playing like these sort of alternative places. They weren't a traditional jazz club. They were more of like a college, like a venue that was like catered to younger people, but a mix too. And when we got to Knoxville, it was like, this got connected with this guy Chuck Burnley. He passed away unfortunately, but he was really really into more expansive free music, and he also was close with Colonel Bruce Hampton and also with Samurai Celestial and other former Sun Ra musicians. So he would pair us up with these folks or introduce them to us. But no, we became friends with people in Knoxville, in the town. To me, it was a very, very small town. But now when I go there and play big ears, it's like I don't even recognize it. It's like they have these amazing venues and theaters, and we ended up, later when Vanessa Wood really became more popular. Ashley Capps was the promoter there. He took us on when we were really kind of hitting the road harder and had built our following or whatever. And he then we would play like the big old theater and stuff. But what stays with me are the people, the local people. They're just like these amazing outsider, you know, Southern people that were really into art and creativity. And they were kind of like the freaks and whatever they were. They weren't like the normal everyday uh generic kind of like society. It was like they were definitely the underbelly, the bohemians, the this, that, and it was such an interesting mix, and just learning about like, how what it is to be American.
Hmm.
And that was a really cool thing. And then that was it. Knoxville wasn't really a place that we were playing as much, but we would go through there every once in a while. So I don't know. That's all I know about it. But now I love this. I love Ashley's festival.
The Big Ears is
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
festival.
It's amazing.
And it's amazing to me that's in Knoxville. I still haven't been to it, but
Yeah.
it looks like an amazing
Yeah.
festival.
It's one of the best festivals in the world, and I'd say it rivals even the European festivals in creative uh curating and super creative people on all different like genre levels and cultural backgrounds.
Hmm.
Of course, jazz.
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Do you remember playing at Ziggy's in Winston Salem?
Yeah, yeah, Ziggy's. Yeah,
The first time you played there, was it probably about 1996 or something like that?
I don't know that, but I know playing there a handful of times.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I remember.
it was kind of like almost open air. It
Yep.
was like a barn, you know. It
There's
was like,
steps
yeah,
going down, and the
yeah,
stage was at the
yeah,
bottom. It was like
yeah,
almost
a
a deck,
lean-to or
little
something.
yeah. And
Yeah,
there's like a tent
yeah,
over top, and it was a very
yeah,
unique venue.
yeah.
But I saw you all there, Medeski Martin Wood, and you know, you may have heard me say this, but it was like I'd never heard this mix of groove and avant-garde and jazz and all the things you all were doing. And also I think you were emceeing. Does that sound right?
I was, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to, but you know, they just were like, you got to do it. Oh, yeah. So I do it, and then it's like, you know, I try to speak as little as possible, but yes, I was sure I
Because
was
I remember you were
speaking.
speaking some French.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, I may. Did I sing? Did I sing a tune? Because
I don't remember that.
there's a Cachao song I sang. Is a Paris,
Really?
Paris, 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 Paris. Oh, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know any language fluently, including English, and but I can say a few things in different languages, and I like to have fun with that, whether it's Spanish, Italian, Japanese, you know,
And then there's
Brazilian.
the whole sort of language too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, that kind of stuff comes definitely with Bob Moses,
Hmm.
the sort of nonsensical scat gibberish fun. And that's something that Chris John and I share because we've all spent time with Ra Kalam and speaking in tongues.
Hmm. Yeah. When you greeted us,
Yeah.
when we went to your house, you greeted us with some
Yeah.
of that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That was yeah, in honor of Ra Kalam.
yeah. So this is one of your lamps right here. Is that right? To
Yeah, this is one of them. You can see how this panel has this resin and it's glowing even within here. But this is a simple, you know, something simple I made. It's a sort of a triangular lamp. It has a dimmer and all this stuff, and it's something I made early on, like, you know, probably last year. And it's one of the many, many, many styles. Just like the bamboo, it's sort of like how can I? What does this want to be? You know, does is a hexagon, pentagon? Is a square? Is it, you know, is it going to be a lampshade? Is it going to be a cube? Is it going to be, you know? And so, yeah, this is one of them. I think it's actually on my catalog de Lumiere and my website. Um,
they're gorgeous.
and
All of
yeah,
them.
and it's another southern, you know, southern unique to the south, southeast.
It's a pine.
The longleaf pine. Yeah, it's a very, very special.
Is that more like a coastal tree maybe?
No, no, it's all through the Carolinas, down through from Virginia down to Florida to Texas, and there are some that are closer to the coast. Like there's a place in the Carolinas, might be south or where it is like they call it a dune or something. I don't forget what they call it. Some national park I went to was like had something with dunes in it. But I wasn't on the ocean, but it was like seemed to be they thrive on the coast. But the thing is, there's only 3% of of the forest left, and it literally spanned from Virginia to Texas southeast, and it was the largest ecosystem, rivaling the Amazon, and it still has its unique, diverse species of other things like a special turtle and a special bird and other things that plants that grow there that don't grow anywhere else. Um, I learned a lot about. I also learned that, you know, that it relies on fire. It actually relies on fire to clean, you know, clear the brush out so that nothing's competing with it. No other hardwoods are competing with it, and it's actually evolved and designed itself, you know, over time to resist the fire. It's for the bark to break off like really easily. As soon as it gets hot, it just the chips fall off. The needles are 18 inches. They're highly resinous, so when they drop to the ground, the dry needles burn really fast and go really fast through the forest. I mean, it's just fascinating to me because now when you look at this, I see the fire, I see the sunset, I see fire. I see, the energy
Is that bulb?
that
Is
it
that
came
bulb?
from.
Is that bulb a certain color? Or is that just a regular bulb?
No, it's like an Edison tube bulb. That's just the LED.
So
So
the
the
red.
color of the
Oh,
bulb is a straight up white light. Sometimes I have other bulbs, other LED lights that have a little bit more of a warmer tone to it. But no, this is
the super
all coming.
orange. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's super orange, and it's really hard to capture. I've been told that it's really hard to capture this particular tonal quality. So like my photographs don't really do it justice. You have to see it in person. But my catalog de Lumiere has a gallery of all of them, and it's the best I could do, and it's pretty good. It looks pretty good.
It looks great.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
admiring
So I'm
yours.
like, yeah. So it's just another thing that I love to do, and I'm going to keep doing. And like, again, this is my illuminated sculptures now. So I'm getting into more sculptural art now. I made some types of sculptures, some types of lamps years ago, but now discovering the longleaf pine, that I recycled from a old building in Soho, New York. I have these big long beams and posts, and I mill it myself. So I have this stuff that's 500 years old. The tree was alive 500 years ago, probably, at least, and 400 years at least. Probably 500 or 600 years ago, they were living, and now I'm like letting it speak for itself in a way, right? You're seeing the grain, and then when I do the marquetry, and you'll see all these mirrored images, mosaic of. It's fascinating. It's like another way that the nature is communicating and learning from it.
Do you let yourself flow from one discipline to another, or do you usually find that you're like really focused on that one thing for a long time?
No, I flow. I float around. I'm a wanderer.
Uh huh.
So I'll be multitasking, and I'll be going from, and this is another thing, go back to Bob Moses, is this idea of being able to sort of jump from one thing to another and doing it all, and just you're dancing in it. It's like that's with my work. Like I'll be working on something, but I need to let it set and dry. So I'm going to go over here and play some music, record something, or I'm going to go outside and cut some bamboo, and like there's all these things that are in different stages around me. So it's kind of like a living, evolving, process all the time. And it's kind of seems to be my MO.
Do you have any rules for yourself?
No, I don't believe in rules.
Yeah.
No.
Did you ever have rules for
I mean,
yourself?
my rules are get sleep, take care of yourself, mental health, physical health. Physical health I'm not so good at late these days, but be a good person, and share, like help other people, those are the only rules, but it's more of a way of
So
being,
it's more about
but no, I
how to
don't
be in
have
the
any
world.
rules. I don't have any rules because they just get in the way of like me breaking through something. So I don't know, I'm not sure if there might be a certain kind of rule you could
I mean, do you
maybe
ever
tell
impose
me that.
rules on your? Do you ever impose limitations for yourself?
No. No,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. What would that be? I mean,
I mean, I don't know. Like some people talk about how like sometimes it's with through the limitations that you break some.
well, I mean, if I limit myself with working only with bamboo for making an orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
that's a
That.
perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Only longleaf pine for my illuminated sculptures. That's the featured thing. So I have to work with that material. I can't add things and combine them. I can with other things if I want to, but like these things are definitely. But it's just sort of like a natural conclusion that I come to, I want to work with this material. There'll be times where I'll be like, yeah, I want to just make a bunch of piano recordings, and put it out there, and it's my own way of playing at this day, and so I'm just going to do that, or I'm going to write music for string quartet, or
Yeah.
when I teach, I don't really have rules, but you have to make sure that they understand themselves, so the rule is really like listening and observing, paying attention, not playing until you feel something moving you to play, things like that. Those are rules.
Mm-hmm.
Those are sort of guiding principles.
Do you think you
But
need?
rule, I don't like the word rule.
Uh, what about technique? Do you think technique is important?
No, I don't. But if you have it, it's even better. You're even in
It's
a
more
better
more options,
place.
more tools in the toolbox.
Well, I think that if you focus too much on technique, and some people makes them feel really good. It's like working out and accomplishing step by step. It's really important thing to learn by repetition. But the fact that I have decent technique, and I was like, that was the first 2 years was just doing stick control with Alan Herman. I mean, I just lucked out, I didn't know anything else to do. And he was like, you can play drum set at home. It's totally fine, but just do this and come back and show me. And I would do that for 2 years. And it really did, like I never really had any major problems. And I've got a lot of nuance and a lot of control and things. It's from classical to African to Afro-Caribbean to, all these different sort of like you've got to be really precise and articulate when you want to say something, but what you say doesn't have to be something that's ever been said before. So you have to have a flexible technique, but if you do have just a general, you can bounce the stick effortlessly without it having to work too hard. That's great. But I think that technique can really take people down a wormhole that's not serving who they really are, what they're really there for.
Mm.
Some people do, like, there's such incredible technicians that people just want to learn, and that is their calling, to teach people how amazing they could be with sounding like, really, really, in a way, impressive. But my thing is like, it's not about technique. It's about how do you make sound, and what are you going to do with it, and let's talk about that. And the technique will follow. The other thing is like technique for what instrument. It's like, yeah, if you're a drummer, you want to just learn how to hold the sticks and make sound. If you're playing, brass, you've got to get your embouchure together. You're playing reeds. It's like you can't mess that up
Uh-huh.
you know so you have to have good technique, and you have to have the basic idea, but it's also getting in touch with how things vibrate and how they sound.
And that
So
seems
for
like.
me, it's like a waste right now. It's like, if someone needs technique, I'll send them somewhere else, or I will not. I'll say, I don't do that. I want to help you develop your own way of playing.
Mhm.
That's why I'm here. That's for me, for as a teacher. I want to help people find ways to make music and do it in their own way and develop that way and have a discipline of doing it. There's a discipline to it. So there is a practice in a sense, but I
Mhm.
don't like that word practice. I don't like rules. I would rather just, I would rather, you know, uh, instill a sense of a discipline and focusing on, what the strategy that I'm giving them, and like but it's for them, it's for them. It's not and it's not it's for them, and it's for the world, because I want people to really find their own voice, and then the technique may come in following that, just like the bamboo teaching you. So I'm very much navigating my way through how I be careful about telling people that don't do this, don't do that, that's bad. It's and I'm pretty much aligned with Ra Kalam in the sense that it's like, play me something I never heard.
Mhm.
I've heard that before. Like, who are you?
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah, what's unique
it's
about
like,
you? What
tell me your story. I want to hear it in the music.
how do you how when did you start to realize your own voice, and how do you think that came together?
I think came together in when I started to play in the downtown scene in New York. So I was playing in bands like Sam Bennett's Chunk, and playing with Ned Rothenberg and Zorn's Cobras, and then with the Lounge Lizards, and other bands in the downtown scene at the Knitting Factory, East Village Knitting Factory, hole in the wall places that were just so vibrant with the most radically different artists coming together, who would be a community of artists that would respect each other, but they'd be really different. It could be, the Black Rock Coalition, which is like Living Color guys, or it could, or Ronald Shannon Jackson, or it would be, Paul Motion playing with Bill Frisell and Joe Lovano playing Broadway standards, or Defunct, Joseph Bowie's, or Lester Bowie's brother,
Mhm.
trombonist,
Was it like
or
kind of they were kind of like rock clubs?
yeah, well, the Knitting Factory was like was an experimental rock jazz club. It wasn't, it was just a knitting factory.
Mhm.
And these kind of other clubs that had more experimental music was more about the music scene and stuff. It was like, and they're usually places that weren't like super commercial or had any cover or anything. I mean, like maybe price of admission,
Mhm.
to get in to see the band. Um, but those places, that was for me. I was like, I'm home. I found my people.
Mhm.
Because it was about everybody being an individual,
Mhm.
really being uncompromising individual, and like really pushing your crazy ass ideas and realizing them on stage and connecting with it, watching how other people do it, and get inspired by so many different things and all different genres mixed together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Thanks for painting the picture of what that was like. Well, thank
I
I
want to make a movie about it, actually.
really
I
nice.
have a script. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And
Yeah.
so that let me, if you don't mind, one more question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking about filmmaking. I'm just curious about what the whole filmmaking what that process is like for you, or lack of process. What is filmmaking to
It's the
you?
same. It's the same philosophy of finding my own way of expressing myself with video, film, moving images, and it's the reason I really fell in love with it. Of course, with admiring so many great filmmakers. Whether it's Stan Brakhage or it's Martin Scorsese, or it's so many you know, uh, it's just I can't, David Lynch. I'm going to maybe mention more ones that people would recognize, but there's a lot of obscure ones too. And just seeing how radically different people have been making films, and of course in Europe and Japan and then Iran and other places, like the filmmakers from other places are just, it's beautiful. And so my philosophy is, it changes every time. It's like it's like making a record with MMW. Every time we do, it's like we're not going to do it the way we did it last time.
Mhm.
And some of it's just like, I have ideas I want to try, and I shoot and I edit, and then I got and maybe it's going to need music, maybe not music. I'm going to do things that are extremely abstract and just like a painting that's just constantly moving, and it
Mhm.
doesn't tell a story.
Mhm.
A lot of the filmmaking that I'm interested in is not really, it's just like, it's more like a broken narrative. It's not like, oh, this is Romeo and Juliet. It's so many movies about people falling in love. They're not allowed to fall in love. Idea, these sort of formats, same thing with songwriting, these formats that people use. But I think the real artists are like, they're finding new ways to tell you something or show you something or give you a feeling, give a feeling, and you to come with your own conclusion. So my approach isn't, I don't have a standard approach, and I don't have a lot of work behind me. I mean, I have made experimental short films, but I would like to, but now I'm realizing like that's an all encompassing thing. I'm down with working, making, writing film scores and composing music for films and working with directors. I really love that
Mhm.
process. So that's good enough for me for right now. Someday, maybe I can, spend time trying to realize this film that I want to make about the downtown scene.
You said you wrote a
It's
script.
it's already written. I mean, I wrote it with a friend who really ended up writing the screenplay for me, who never written one before, but he wrote a book that I really liked. He was a student who went to my high school. It became my friend. He was sort of like, I was sort of mentoring him in a way about being an artist. And he ended up being a writer, a really good one. And so we ended up, it did many years, like just 8 years ago, making this thing. That And I shopped it around, I sent it around here and there. And Sundance called me, the head of Sundance, Michelle Satter, was like wanted to meet with me, and I
Wow.
was like in New York, and like 8 in the morning at a Starbucks uptown. I'm like, okay. And then she was like, "What do you want to do with this film? Like, what is it? What do you think it's about?" And I'm kind of like, I said it's. I'm glad you like it. She said, I like it's funny. I think you could maybe workshop this at Sundance, but there are only a few spots open. And then we have some international people we have to let in. I'm like, well, what do you got me here for? She said, well, I just want you to submit it. I want to also meet you and hear from you. And I think I didn't make much of an impression on her. And I also think that like it was just a last minute thing. She wanted to meet me. So I felt like, oh man, if they like me, and I talked to producers and friends of mine that are doing it, and they all had something to say about the story and the storyline, and who's the main character. And I'm like, it's an ensemble film. And anyway, make a long story short, it's like this can easily be made into a film.
Hmm.
It's just, and I don't need the permission. I was looking for permission.
Hmm.
I was also looking for backing because I wanted to pay people to act and it was like I wasn't ready for that.
Hmm.
Uh, but now that I'm doing this theater project, I think this is the beginning of working on theatrical work, whether it's on stage or and it's just a all-encompassing expression of sound, visual, and story or not story.
Hmm.
So ultimately, filmmaking to me is kind of one of the ultimate art forms because you don't just have you don't just have the moving image, you have potentially music, underscoring, sound design, uh, the text of if there is any, the dialogue, and
It has kind of everything brought together.
it's just all of these things. It's like the ultimate composing because you're not just composing music, you're composing, a movement and, acting and
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And editing is an incredibly fun thing for me.
Oh yeah, you like doing that.
Uh,
I do too.
yeah, I talked to a friend who's not going to mention her name because not on good terms, but she she was like, yeah, because you're a drummer, you're really good with the timing and this and that and that, and I was like, that's cool. And I said, yeah, it does help to kind of have a feeling of time. It's not just time, it's composing too. It's sort of like when it's not just keeping a certain pace of time, but it's also when the timing of when you choose to go somewhere and make a change and all that, just like navigating your way through improvising
Hmm.
live.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had gotten me in touch with a friend of yours who was doing some filming you, I believe, and he really I learned some stuff from him
Oh,
just from,
Antonio.
yeah, Antonio, just from that one
Yeah,
conversation. It was really
yeah,
interesting because he was talking about the one camera and the truth, and I never
yeah,
thought about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
That when you're cutting from one camera to another, it's like
yeah,
what happened there,
yeah.
who knows what could have happened, but if you see the camera move, I mean, obviously AI and all that, you could maybe but yeah, it's really interesting what he was
Yeah, the
saying.
simplicity of yeah, one camera. That's his strategy. One camera usually.
Uh-huh. And there's
Yeah.
so much that can be told of that camera then pans across the room and goes to someone else or whatever, as opposed to just cutting
Yeah,
that
it's
person.
just it's just a perspective. Like you may turn your head and look behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm riffing on what I'm hearing from you, but
Yeah. Well, thank
anything
you.
is possible. Anything.
That's right. Well, thank
How
you.
you do it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it that way.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, and
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show.
I really appreciate it. And I hope
Yeah,
to connect again sometime
yeah.
soon.
All right.
And yeah, I don't know when I'm going to be up in your part of the world, of this
Well,
country,
let
but
me know.
yeah, it sounds good. Um,
Yeah, man.
well, have a good evening, and thank you everybody
You
for
too.
tuning in. And I'm gonna end the broadcast. Yeah, have a good evening.
You too, everybody. Thank you for watching. I hope someone's out there
Yeah, thank you for
getting
tuning in.
something out of this.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing it, Cliff.
yeah, thank you.
All
All
right.
right, bye.
Ciao.